I've remade Fall Guys in true Blakey style, created a giant obstacle course and hosted an intense multiplayer race between my subscribers. And I know you, yes you, can't wait to see how this went. So sit back, grab your food and enjoy as I take you through a journey of confusion, emotion and triumph. And stay tuned till the end to find out who won the great race. Hey guys, Blakey here and welcome back to another video. Now Fall Guys has been out for quite a while now, and after being completely bodied off the market by Among Us, it's somehow managed to make a return in popularity. So I thought I would attempt to capitalise on my second chance and finally remake this game with my new skills I've developed over the past few years. This project transformed from just wanting to remake the movement to then creating a course to finally hosting a multiplayer race between members of the community. And let me tell you, this project threw some real challenges at me.
I can't do it anymore.
So let's start at square one, making a Fall Guy. A bean, if you will. Now, bean must be smooth. He's out here with the curves, he's got these long ass arms, tiny feet, so you know, interesting character to try and model. Definitely took some time, but after a bunch of cursed iterations, we got there. Then after a few basic materials, you could look at this, maybe squint and can say you're looking at a Fall Guys character. Right. I exported him into Unity after about 8 tries, going back and forth fixing normal maps and other cursed bugs, and was able to drag him into the scene as a new bean. And then we could finally make a start on making a moving bean with some third-person camera movement. So after an average evening of "What the hell is going on?", our bean had transformed into a slidey bean and was able to fly along the floor like it's wet tarpaulin, but its movement nonetheless. Bean then decided to rise above the human race and ascend to a higher plane of existence, but regretfully he had to be humbled with some code to bring that ego back down to earth.
See what I did there?
I think I maybe took a step too far as this happened. But this was primarily due to my efforts of trying to match Bean's rotation to its movement direction. It took a while, but we got there in the end. Again, shortly after, our Bean attempted to leave the human race. I'm not sure why I've managed to create some god tier Bean, but clearly something's gone wrong here. Now, the animations of a Fall Guys character are quite simple to replicate. I'm guessing the anatomy behind it is the lack of knees and elbows, meaning they can only rotate their limbs so far. But this certainly does me a favour, as I just made some super simple animations that 1, look similar to the original, and 2, disguise the fact that I can't actually animate. This includes making the arms move a little, and the legs. Also made a very subtle idle animation, which ended up being very effective, and also a jump animation. I thought I'd be nice to the bean and give him some actual personality. I then tied these animations to a controller with different states depending on what the player is doing, and just like that, we've got ourselves a bean with life. If you're watching this Mediatonic,
you want to give me a job?
So we are now at a point where we officially have movement, rotation, animations, and almost everything needed for a player, except for somewhere to actually use these systems. Fall Guys is known for its obstacle courses, so I thought I'd try my hand at one. So I created moving objects, different shapes, different materials for slippery surfaces, trampolines, and more. I think it came out pretty well, but if you want to see the final result, you'll have to stay until the end. I used Photoshop to create the hexagon skybox that can be seen in some Fall Guys maps, as that really helps to take away from the Unity-esque vibe of the game. I was surprised how good this looked, and considering it was pretty easy to implement this, I think we take that as a healthy dub. So now it was at this point I decided that hosting a multiplayer race would fit this video really well, and this really put my skills to the limit. Stage 1 was testing the multiplayer. So being able to have 2 builds of the game with a player in each one was our initial goal here. I used a multiplayer solution known as Fishnet for this, and was able to get it working after some changes to the code. Well, not quite. After some more changes, now we had something to work with. This took a while because I had to iterate on my current code a ton to ensure everything is synced across the server, even down to player rotation, movement, individual components such as animations, player scripts. Yeah, it wasn't easy. And the best part of all, I wasted my time, as this solution did not work in its current form when working on different devices.
Well, that was fun.
That was fun.
So I decided to switch to a well-known solution known as Photon. Now Photon ended up being super simple to understand and implement, and before I knew it, I'd made synchronized beans apparently. Now this was due to a bug in which the game wasn't separating the player scripts, so the player would be accessing all of the player scripts rather than differentiating them and only accessing its own. At least that's what I think was happening there anyway. But we fixed it. I added some colliders under the floor so the player respawns, as well as a checkpoint system just like the real Fall Guys. But how does this work, I hear you ask? Well, since you're so interested, essentially we have a transform in the game known as the point the player should respawn at, and this starts at the start of the level. As the player reaches parts of the level, colliders are triggered which update this respawn point to new positions.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You may have earlier seen the birth of these spinning walls. Similar to the real thing, but of course not affiliated with the real thing in any way. Well, now we also had to sync this object with multiplayer. So essentially, if one player was pushing it and another player was in its way, it wouldn't just phase through the object. So players would have to theoretically be wise about how to cross this when there are other players around. So we use some special components that come with Photon that allow us to sync rigid bodies, which was super helpful. Speaking of spinning objects, trying to create a similar system later in the level didn't go as well. So now you beautiful viewers should be given a way to differentiate our contestants from each other. So I added some podiums that have different colours that change the colour of each player. Now in normal circumstances this would be simple, we can just change the colour of the material, but the trouble with that is each player uses the same material, so any colour change would be seen across all of our players. So what happens now is upon each request to change the colour, a script uses a for each loop to access the mesh renderer of each body part of our character and change the material to a whole different material to match the target colour. This means that players won't be tied to each other and can have separate skins, therefore completing our task. Sorted. Now the last thing I wanted to add before the big reveal and race was some god tools I could access to control the game, such as a spectating arena and a key to remove the starting wall. This did add to my god complex, but there's no going back now.
I'm a god.
So I added an invisible collider above the map I could spectate from and added a shortcut to get there, doing the same to add a force to the rigid body of this wall. So now we had everything sorted client side and everything sorted server side. Players could connect, move and interact. Now we race. Two of the greatest, wait, what do we call this? We've got Fall Guys, Stumble Guys, oh, I've got it. Two of the greatest descending mortals players go head to head in a battle for the ages. A battle that will decide the very course of time itself. Contestant number 1, a fearsome warrior known as H4, short for H4 Eyes. He battled through hell to reach the top, defeating every other descending mortals player he faced. Contestant number 2 is a man who fought Hades himself and won 284 games of descending mortals in a row with his eyes closed. His name is Kevin, short for Kevin. Collectively, these two warriors have won 14 million games, and yet this will be the most important of all. Our contestants have entered the arena and prepare to battle to be the true champion. They choose their colours. And the Great Wall will drop in 3, 2, 1, and they're off. Kevin takes an early lead as H4 doesn't get the start he hoped for, but he does manage to make it past the first platform. But is it too late already? Kevin decides to try and gain an even bigger lead through the middle of our circular platform, but it does not pay off, allowing H4 to shave some time off here. All of a sudden it's head to head, and it looks to stay this way before Kevin crumbles at the final jump. Can H4 run away with it here? He seems to be miles away as he flies down the slippery slopes and faces the spinners. Kevin makes his way down the slope shortly after, hoping for a miracle. H4 makes quick work of the spinners with no contenders in his way and chooses the outside route for that speed boost while Kevin follows, weaving through the obstacles in his path. As we begin to reach the end of the course, H4 struggles against the speedy blades, sending him off the edge. Twice for that matter. Is this the miracle Kevin was looking for? Indeed it is, as it's tied as we enter the final area. H4 is defeated, but Kevin follows him to the back of the blades. H4 takes a slight lead on their second try. And that lead increases as Kevin fails to make it through the blades again. Is this the end to Kevin's run? But there's hope. Kevin gets just far enough to make it to the checkpoint, but is it too late? They both make it onto the final stretch. H4 takes the leap, but narrowly misses. It all comes down to this last jump. Who's going to take it in this photo finish? They both jump. Kevin seems closer, and he just misses the platform. H4 takes a crown as the greatest Descending Mortals player to ever walk the earth. Congratulations to him. I give my sincere commiserations to Kevin, who fought right to the death. Thank you to both Kevin and H4 Eyes for providing us with a photo finish for the ages. But on that note, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you to my contestants for taking part. Thank you to myself for making this game, and thank you to Fall Guys for the original. Please do like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. This one truly took a lot of work. I will thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.